English Bridge Podcast.
From your favorite healing space.
Hello and welcome to English Bridge. Today we're exploring a quiet, modern paradox, the feeling of being incredibly capable on paper, yet completely stuck in practice. It's the curse of the perpetual learner.
It's that sensation of having a backpack filled with amazing survival gear, a compass, a fire starter, a water filter, but you're standing in your own living room, unsure of which door to even open.
That's a perfect image. It's the skill collector's dilemma. You've spent years gathering tools, languages, and certifications, but when it's time to build something, you're paralyzed by choice.
The world tells you to learn, but it rarely tells you how to connect the dots, how to weave all those colorful threads into a coherent tapestry. So you just end up with a box of beautiful, unused string.
We believe that potential is meant to be kinetic, not just stored energy. Today, we want to unpack why this happens and explore how to finally turn that vast knowledge into meaningful action.
We want to help you move from being a librarian of your own skills to being an architect who uses them to build a life that feels authentic and purposeful. It's a subtle but profound shift.
So let's start by painting a picture of what this actually feels like, day to day. It often begins in the quiet glow of a computer screen. Late at night, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's 11 p.m. and you find yourself scrolling through online course platforms. You see a sale for a certificate in data visualization or social media marketing, and you feel a little jolt of excitement.
It's a dopamine hit of possibility. The act of clicking enroll feels like progress. It feels like you're taking control, adding another valuable tool to your collection, preparing for a future that might need it.
Exactly. But then you wake up the next morning and that excitement is replaced by a low-grade anxiety. Your digital desktop is cluttered with folders for unfinished courses, Python, German, the basics of podcasting.
Each folder represents a version of you that you intended to become, but they just sit there, like unopened letters. It's not a library of knowledge. It's a museum of good intentions, and it starts to feel heavy.
It's the weight of unactivated potential. And that feeling extends into our social lives, especially in those dreaded networking conversations or coffee chats with old friends.
That hits hard.
Someone asks you that seemingly simple question, so what are you passionate about? And instead of a clear answer, your mind just short circuits. A flood of images appears.
You see the guitar you bought, the half-written novel on your hard drive, the coding project you abandoned, the sourdough starter you killed. It's a highlight reel of your scattered interests.
And you can't possibly explain all that, so you give a vague, unsatisfying answer like, oh, a few things here and there. You walk away feeling like a fraud, like you have no real identity.
That feeling of being a fraud is so central to this. It shows up again when you try to make a practical career move, like updating your resume. You stare at the blank page, completely overwhelmed.
Yes. How do you create a coherent narrative out of proficient in Adobe Illustrator, certified in project management, and conversational in Japanese? It feels like you're lying even though it's all true.
It's like trying to write a compelling story using random words drawn from a hat. Each skill is a good word, but there's no connecting grammar, no plot that ties them all together into a meaningful sentence.
So you just list them, and the resume looks like a chaotic shopping list. It doesn't communicate who you are or what problems you can solve. It just communicates that you've been busy.
And that's the core of the feeling, a profound sense of busyness without direction. You're a ship with a powerful engine and a dozen rudders, all pointing in different directions, so you just end up spinning in circles.
You're not lazy. You're not unintelligent. In fact, it's the opposite. You're so full of potential that you're stuck, drowning in the very optionality you worked so hard to create.
So let's get into the mechanics of this. Why does this happen so frequently now? I think one of the biggest drivers is a cognitive trap I call the collector's fallacy.
Where does that come from?
It's the subconscious belief that the next skill you acquire will be the one that magically clarifies everything. It's the idea that you're just one course, one certification away from having a perfect, undeniable path.
So we keep collecting, thinking the next piece of the puzzle will show us the final picture, but the puzzle box has no picture on it, so we just accumulate more and more pieces, hoping one of them is a corner.
Spot on. It shifts the focus from application to acquisition. The process of learning becomes a comfortable hiding place, a way to feel productive without taking the risk of actually creating something that might fail.
That resonates. It feels safer to be a student than to be a practitioner. As a student, the goal is clear: pass the test, get the certificate. As a practitioner, there's ambiguity and the potential for public judgment.
And this is amplified by modern economic pressures. The narrative of the future of work insists that we must be adaptable, multi-skilled generalists to survive in a rapidly changing gig economy.
So we learn just-in-case skills. We learn a bit of coding, just in case, a bit of marketing, just in case. But this defensive learning strategy rarely leads to a proactive, passionate career.
It leads to a skill set built on fear, not on curiosity or joy. It's the equivalent of packing for a trip by throwing one of every item of clothing you own into a suitcase, just in case, instead of thinking about the destination.
I also think there's a deeper, more emotional reason. We get stuck because we're waiting for a calling. We've been sold this romantic myth that one day, lightning will strike and we'll just know how our skills are meant to be used.
And because that Hollywood moment never arrives, we assume we're not ready. We conclude that we must need another skill, another piece of information, before we can begin. It's a form of permission seeking.
We're waiting for an external sign to validate our direction, but that sign only ever comes from taking a small internal step. The clarity isn't a prerequisite for action, it's a consequence of it.
Exactly. So we have these powerful forces at play, a cognitive bias toward collecting, economic anxiety pushing us to generalize, and a cultural myth of the calling that keeps us waiting. It's a perfect storm for paralysis.
It really is. I see this so clearly in my friend Maria. She's a brilliant graphic designer, but a few years ago she decided she needed to future-proof her career.
So she started collecting new skills, I imagine?
Oh, did she ever? She took intensive courses in UX writing, then 3D modeling, then front-end coding. Her portfolio of certificates is incredibly impressive. But now she's more stuck than ever before.
How so?
She sees 5 different career paths she could take. She could be a UX writer, a product designer, a 3D artist. The sheer number of options is overwhelming. She'll start a project in one area, then get anxious that she's neglecting another.
So she's caught in a loop of starting and abandoning. She has all the ingredients for a dozen amazing cakes, but she can't commit to baking just one.
That's it perfectly. In the end, she just stays in her comfortable but ultimately unfulfilling graphic design job because it's the path of least resistance. Her new skills have become a golden cage.
I had a very similar experience with my college roommate Ben. He was obsessed with efficiency and optimization, so he got certifications in data science, then supply chain management, and even public speaking.
That sounds like a powerful combination for a consultant or a manager.
You'd think so, but when he interviews for jobs, his story is all over the place. For a data science role, he talks about supply chains. For a logistics role, he emphasizes his presentation skills.
He's trying to show everything at once, but it just comes across as unfocused.
Precisely. Hiring managers can't figure out what he really wants to do. He looks like a dilettante, not a specialist. So he gets rejected, and his solution is always the same: go learn another skill.
Oh, wow.
It's a heartbreaking cycle. He's one of the most capable people I know, but his refusal to commit to a narrative makes all his capabilities seem theoretical and disconnected from real-world problems.
It's not always a story of being stuck, though. My cousin Lena is a great example of someone who broke out of this cycle. She had this eclectic mix of skills. She was a fantastic baker, great with social media, and had experience planning small events.
That's a classic how do these fit together combination.
For years, she felt lost. She thought she had to choose one. But then a friend asked her to bake some custom cookies for her daughter's birthday party. Lena did it, took some great photos, and posted them online.
A small, simple action.
What happened next?
Another parent saw the post and asked for cookies for their party. Lena realized she could combine all 3 skills. The baking was the product, the social media was the marketing, and each order was a tiny event to plan.
That's brilliant. She didn't start with a grand business plan. She started by solving one small problem for one person, and that single act of integration illuminated the path forward.
That's the key, isn't it? The integration. I saw this with my former colleague David. He was a talented software engineer, but his passions were woodworking and philosophy. He felt like he was living 3 separate lives.
I can't even begin to imagine how those connect.
He couldn't either for a long time. Then he decided to start a blog, just as a small experiment. He called it The Digital Carpenter. He wrote about coding principles but used woodworking as his core metaphor.
Oh, that's powerful.
He wrote about sandpapering your code to refine it, about choosing the right grain when designing a system's architecture. He used philosophical concepts to discuss the ethics of software development.
He wasn't just listing his skills, he was synthesizing them into a unique point of view. He created a new category where he was the only expert.
And it completely changed his career. He became known for this unique perspective. It proves that the value isn't in the skills themselves, but in the novel connections you make between them.
This really highlights the importance of moving from passive learning to active experimentation. Before that happens, though, our bodies are often sending us warning signs that we're stuck in this collecting phase.
And the flip side?
We often ignore these signals. It's that familiar feeling of Sunday evening dread. You're not dreading a specific task at work. You're dreading the formlessness of the week ahead, the lack of a compelling project to pour your energy into.
I know that feeling well. It's a kind of low-grade hum of anxiety. For me, it manifests as a physical tension in my jaw and shoulders, like my body is bracing for an impact that never comes.
Or it's the shallow breathing you notice when a relative asks, "So what's new with your career?" You can't take a full breath because you don't have a story you're excited to tell. Your body is registering the lack of a clear narrative.
These physical symptoms are your internal system sounding the alarm. It's saying that the gap between your potential and your reality has grown too wide. It's a signal that something needs to change.
But we often misinterpret that signal. We think the anxiety means we need to learn more, to be more prepared. We think we need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect project to appear.
That myth of the perfect moment is so destructive. It's the belief that there will come a day when the sky opens up, a fully formed idea descends, and you'll have all the skills, time, and competence you need to execute it flawlessly.
That day never comes. It's a form of sophisticated procrastination. We're using the quest for perfection as an excuse to avoid the messy, uncertain work of starting something small and imperfect.
The antidote to this is what you mentioned earlier: micro-experiments. These are small, low-stakes tests designed to see what it actually feels like to use your skills, not just possess them.
I love that frame.
So, instead of planning to launch a full-blown web design business, your micro-experiment is to offer to build a simple one-page website for a local charity for free. The goal isn't to make money, it's to gather data.
And the data you're gathering is about yourself. Do you enjoy the client interaction? Do you get a buzz from solving their problem? Does the act of coding feel creative or like a chore?
Precisely. These experiments move you from the realm of theory, "I think I'd like being a freelance writer," to the realm of practice, where you discover what actually energizes you. Clarity is forged in the doing.
Let's make this practical.
Okay, first, conduct a skill inventory audit. Make a list of every skill you have, but don't stop there. Create 2 columns next to it: proficiency, 110, and enjoyment, 110.
That's a crucial distinction. We often focus on what we're good at, but neglect to ask what we actually love doing. The sweet spot is where high proficiency meets high enjoyment.
Second, adopt a problem-first approach. For 1 week, stop asking, "What can I do with my skills?" and start asking, "What's a small annoying problem my friend, my family, or my community is facing?"
Then you look at your list of high enjoyment skills and see if any of them can offer a tiny piece of the solution. This flips the script from being skill-focused to being service-focused.
Third, design a 1-month synthesis project. The only rule is that it must combine 2 skills you believe are unrelated. For example, use your knowledge of history and your graphic design skills to create a series of Instagram posts about a forgotten historical event.
So true.
The goal isn't to build a following. It's to force your brain to create new neural pathways between your siloed areas of knowledge. This is where true innovation comes from.
Fourth, teach one tiny thing. The act of preparing to teach forces you to structure your knowledge in a new way. Offer to run a free 30-minute Zoom workshop for a few friends on a single, specific aspect of one of your skills.
I love that. It builds confidence and reveals what parts of your knowledge are most robust. Fifth, Try a fear-setting exercise, as popularized by Tim Ferriss. Get specific about the cost of inaction.
That gave me chills.
What will your career, your confidence, and your sense of self look like in 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years if you continue to just collect skills without ever shipping, creating, or applying them?
And finally, my favorite piece of advice. Declare a moratorium on new learning. For the next 90 days, your enrollment in new courses is forbidden. Your only job is to work with the tools you already have.
That might be the most powerful tip of all. It forces you out of the comfortable world of consumption and into the vulnerable but rewarding world of creation.
The truth is, you probably already have enough. The feeling of not knowing what to do isn't a knowledge problem. It's a courage problem. It's about having the courage to start small, to be imperfect, and to let the path reveal itself one step at a time.
Well said. Your vast collection of skills is not a burden, it's a launch pad. You just need to give yourself permission to finally take flight, even if you don't know the final destination.
So to everyone listening who feels like they have a garage full of tools but no blueprint, we see you. We encourage you to pick up just 2 of those tools this week and build something small. We'd love to hear what you create.